Well, another one-day prep in essence for us, as we took yesterday off after Sunday's Marshall game, and NCAA new rules force you to take a day off even though you're not in school. So quick turnaround against a very, very good team. I scheduled the Augustana game and scheduled it with a couple things in mind. One, I know Gray Giovanni very, very well, and have known him for almost the entirety of my coaching life, and I know how good a coach he is, and there's a reason they win, and they win at an extremely high level because he's a very good coach, and they're a team that executes, and they're a team that plays extremely hard. So you take away the name on the front of their jersey for us, and you could put any name on there, and they'll play as hard as any team that we're going to see. They're very, very good defensively. They've got 90% of their scoring back. Rebounding, they're a team that is a very, very solid basketball team, and they shoot it, they compete. They've got a young man averaging 5 offensive rebounds a game, close to 12 rebounds. He's only 6'4", but he's a war horse, and I have a lot of respect for that. So it'll be a great challenge for us. It'll force us to grow. We'll have to be very good offensively because defensively they compete at a very, very high level. So great game heading into the Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday, and great opponent, and another one-day prep as we'll be back to work on Thursday as we get ready for North Carolina Central on Friday. But we got a challenge tomorrow, and we've got to be up to that challenge. And they're not real big, but they do have a 6'11" kid in the middle who's a shot blocker and a presence. And but this is a very, very skilled basketball team we're going to face tomorrow that plays extremely hard.
Chin played for him at Lamar, right?
Chin did play for him.
How did you and he connect?
It's got to be 30, gosh, long time ago, 30-plus years ago. He was an assistant coach in the business, and recruited me. And I didn't when I came out of junior college. And first time I came in acquaintance with him, with Gray, and then just through the profession. It's a small network, and we've stayed in touch. And he's a guy who's very familiar with spread, our offense. He's been around it before. He knows, and you know, when I was at Western, he was just getting the job at Augustana, and he's been there for a long time. And we always used to scrimmage. They went in there and beat us. So he's achieved a lot of success at a very high level for a lot of years. And like I said, I have tremendous respect for his friendship and his success and the way he goes about it.
Brett, scheduling a D2 team, RPI-wise, does this play a role at all in scheduling it?
No, because it's I worry more about preparation of our team, and sometimes you can play some very poor, to be honest, very poor non-Division I games, and jump on them and win by 40, and you get nothing out of that. Tomorrow we're going to get something out of this because this team they're going to do what they do, and they do it extremely well. So I've always been a proponent of that, and I don't look too much at. I think our strength of schedule in the Big Ten is going to be just fine.
Mike.
Well, Tejon Lucas, just what have you seen of him through 4 games, and what do you need from him moving forward?
Well, I have tremendous trust in Tejon. Tejon's our quarterback. He's a guy that I need him to stay out of foul trouble. which he did a great job of. And if you'll notice in the Marshall game, we started Mark Allstork on Elmore to start with, just so that Tijon hopefully wouldn't pick up a foul or two. But he's very dialed in defensively. He's very seldom out of the wrong position defensively. Offensively, he's a guy that, I think he had 4 or 5 assists the other night and 1 turnover. That's what we need from Tijon. Is Tijon ever going to be a big scorer? He's going to have his nights probably, but we need him to make free throws, run our team, make the right passes, and then be our quarterback on the defensive end, not just the offensive end.
Yeah, you mentioned before the season started that Mark Allstork was maybe still trying to find his way in the offense. Then, I mean, the opener he had a good game, and then is he kind of back to that? Maybe just trying to figure out where he fits.
Yeah, I think that different style maybe for him in terms of he's playing a lot more off the ball than maybe he did at his old school. But I think the other thing is, in Mark's case, he had 10 rebounds in the first game. His aggression, there's a lot of ways to score, and he got to the foul line, and he picked up a lot of points because he got easy opportunities, and he got free opportunities at the line, and that's what we want from Mark. And if Mark go run the floor, and we pitch ahead, and he can get in attack mode, he's a guy that's proven he gets fouled a lot. He's still learning what we do offensively, and this team, not just Mark, this team has to continue to get better offensively. We're scoring it, but we're not scoring it through offense, what we need to do. And as things get harder, and tomorrow night will get harder, as things get harder and the defenses get better and more consistent, we've got to execute better, and Mark included in that.
Brad, how do you balance what in practice time with all these condensed games, what you're trying to install and teach, and just getting ready for your opponents?
Boy, it's hard, and I wrestle with that question literally every single day. I'm very vanilla what I have in right now, and with 2 Big Ten games coming up in 10 days, I'm more vanilla than I want to be. We spent a heavy amount of time today on the offensive end, just trying to get our players to understand where I can scheme, where I can take advantage of other teams' defenders. We've got to run better offense than what we're running and execute. Being able to do different things out of our spread based on what the opponent does, and we're going to be forced to do that. So we've been very vanilla defensively. There's a few things that have been put in, but game prep is something that we spend a lot of time on. Our coaches work very hard at that, and we have to prepare. And it forces maybe a little longer practices than I would like on a day like today. But like I said, we're one of the best conditioned teams in the country, so I don't worry about that too much.
Against Marshall, it looked like you threw out kind of like a full court press look briefly. Is that something you look to implement in future games? Yeah,
a lot. I think the one thing that we try to do is make every second of the opponent, in a perfect world, make every second the opponent has on the court against us under some duress or stress, and we want them stressed and nothing easy. And we felt like we could try to fatigue Elmore by just making him handle it against 94 feet of pressure. Over the course of 40 minutes, that becomes impactful. And then it also gives our defense a chance to get set. They're not playing at their pace, and we can knock them off their spots, and that stuff's important. And we've got to get to that. We've got some different things we do in the full court as well. But like I said, to this point, we've been pretty vanilla what we do, and you'll see little wrinkles like that here and there.
Brad, back here in the back. Understanding that it's early, what's your identity in your eyes right now, and how do you hope to shape more of what you want it to be?
Well, I think our identity is trying to become a hard-playing, aggressive team defensively. We're not quite sound enough yet in some of those areas. but we are getting there. And then I think we're offensively, we're a team that is trying to play with pace, and we're trying to play fast and with speed. But there's also got to be a sense of when not to do that. We're not quite there yet. But I think our aggressiveness has set a tone, and that's who we are. I think we've shown spurts on the offensive glass. I think we've shown spurts of getting to the line that we're an aggressive team. Now it's a matter of consistency and execution.
Talking about Kipper now, he's been playing really well for you guys lately. What have you noticed some of his strengths have been on and off the court, and then what do you want to see him also improve on?
Well, the one thing about Kip is he's got tremendous pride. He cares, and not just about how he plays, but he cares about his teammates and his success. And when you've got pride, then I can really coach you. And I can allow him to become better. He hasn't touched his ceiling. He doesn't know that yet, but he hasn't touched it. And I need him to become that guy that can be an alternative ball handler against pressure. I need him to become a guy who can become a post-up option constantly. I need him to become a guy who I can run a 3 to. He has all of those abilities. And yet he's a guy that I need consistency from every day. And I need consistency from on the defensive end, and we're working. His success is because he practiced extremely well last week, and that correlation takes over. But I love coaching guys like Kipper because he's allowed us to coach him, and he's got tremendous pride in getting better.
With Tijon's foul trouble, Trent's been running the point more. I mean, are these early opportunities good just to throw him out there and have him run the offense, see what he can do?
Yeah, Trent's always been a scorer. That's been his mindset. He's never been forced to have to lead and run things. Trent gives us a different gear. Trent's speed. Today at practice, he was electric, and he gets better every single day. We wrestled, with a mentality sometimes of Trent not being vocal enough and understanding what we do, but his basic instincts are off the chart. And all these minutes have been good. And I thought he played his best game the other day against Marshall, not because he scored points, but it was what he did on the defensive end, that there was no drop off. And that's one of the consistent things. Everything with us in our system starts with our point guard play. On the offensive end, they've got the ball. On the defensive end, it's their pressure. And he's grown a great deal there, and it gets better every single day.
You say Kipper, he's been practicing well. What does that mean to you for someone to practice well, and what philosophy do you have on that?
Well, I don't play you if you don't practice well. I mean, that's very, very simple. You can look at and I told him a couple weeks ago he was getting to that point. I was going to give Matisse and everybody, Sampson and Cam and the walk-on, everybody else, going to give them an opportunity. And you look, last year we were in Maui, a great example. I had a young man who became one of our best players. He didn't play a second in Maui. You don't work hard, I don't play you. And I think that's what I want our program to be. And to his credit, he has tremendous pride and he cares and he wants to do the right things. And I think that's why my title's coach, is to help get that out of him and not just demand it, but expect it. And that's what I want from Kipper. And like I said, he hasn't touched his ceiling.
Brad, usually these freshmen come in, they're stars at their high school, and they want to be stars right away here. DeMonte seems to have just bought into a role right away. How rare is that for a freshman to come in and kind of have that mindset?
Very rare. But here's what DeMonte has. DeMonte's a great listener, an incredible listener. I mean, there's never a time in practice when a coach is speaking or I'm speaking and he's not looking at me. That's very mature. You don't see that in 17, 18-year-old kids that have that level of maturity. He is a extremely good listener. That allows him to grow and to learn. And you know, he understands. He understands what his strengths are. He understands what what he can do to this team right now, and what he can do for this team. So his maturity level and his ability to listen and be coachable are way, way ahead of what I consider most freshmen. Thank you. See you tomorrow.